Welcome to our Pinball Machine Buyer's Guide. I've got to say, I love pinball machines. They are such good fun and got to be one of the best things you're ever going to purchase. We've had hundreds of pinballs come through our showrooms here over the years. We've played them all and got pretty good views as to which of the best ones are and how you go about choosing it. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the different types of new pinball you could buy, reconditioned ones or maybe a virtual one, because it's really important you pick the right one for you, for your home, to play with your family or maybe at your place of work. Okay, right, let's talk about new pinball machines first of all. So this is a Stern pinball. Stern are the largest manufacturer of pinball machines in the world, and really Stern sort of kept pinball going. So at the end of the 1990s, 2000, Williams, who'd been making pins, stopped making pinballs, and Stern really took over, and they've been flying the flag for pinball for the last 2 decades. There are other manufacturers around now, but none make as many or sell as many as Stern. Stern make probably 3 machines or 3 titles a year, and they come in 3 different sort of levels. And so in 2023, they've done Foo Fighters, they've done Venom, and they've just announced Jurassic Park 30th anniversary sort of limited edition machine, which is the same as the one they made a couple of years ago, but they've updated it with some new gameplay and some new game code. So those are their 3, and that's what they generally tend to release. But through a year, although they've just released 3 new ones, they may well still be producing machines that they had coming out in previous years. Like, for example, at the moment, they're still making Godzilla, which came out last year. So generally, you'll have sort of 4 or 5 different machines that will be available brand new from Stern at any one time. Okay, so I mentioned there being 3 different levels in a Stern brand new pinball machine. So you've got Pro, Premium, and LE. LE standing for limited edition. In a Pro, that is the version which is sold by and large, and it's a full machine. As you can see, this is the Foo Fighters one here. Wonderful graphics, great sound on there, brilliant gameplay, really good fun. When you go up to Premium and the LE levels, those are really for collectors, very, very keen followers. So if you're a big Foo Fighters fan, for example, you might be willing to spend the extra money to get a machine which has got different art, maybe different coloured legs, side rails, lockdown bar, different back glass graphics in there, and they also have a few more toys on the play field, a few more different things to interact with, and they basically sort of go a level up. From there to an LE, you're then getting, again, more aesthetic embellishments on there. We also get the designer of the game will have generally signed it. So for example, James Bond has got George Gomez has signed down there, and up here you've got a limited edition plaque which will have your limited edition number on there. But you really are going for sort of Pro, Premium, LE up in price, so they do get seriously expensive when you go up there. So really it's for somebody who's a big collector or a big fan of that particular license. Okay, let's talk about reconditioned pinball machines, and we'll start off with a bit of a history lesson so you can understand which machines we do, which ones we don't, and the background will help you. So 60s and 70s were electromechanical machines, so very complex to keep going, hard to maintain, likely to go wrong, not brilliant gameplay, we don't bother with them. 80s were solid state. You get some good sounds in there. There were some classic games in there, but again, they are hard to maintain and not really sort of worth, not a lot of bang for your buck, I would say, with those. So we don't do anything for the 80s. 90s, that's where it's at. That's when Bally and Williams, they were basically the same company, Bally Williams. They were making some amazing games. And when we're talking about choosing a pinball machine, I'll run you through a few examples of those machines, but Bally and Williams really in the 90s were superb. You also had Data East and Sega making games, and they did have some really good licenses, like Guns N' Roses, Star Wars, Jurassic Park. But parts are hard to get hold of for their machines, so we don't sell their stuff now just because we can't always maintain them. Whereas the Bally Williams stuff, because there are so many collectors that enjoy those games, there are lots and lots of different manufacturers that are now remaking parts so you can keep those old games going. After Bally Williams finished making pinballs in 1999, they literally stopped and concentrated on their other business, which was mainly casino games, fruit machines. 2000 onwards was all Stern, and thankfully Stern have kept the flag for pinball flying, making some great games from 2000 onwards. So we've had over 2 decades from them as some brilliant machines. All right, so we're down in our pinball repair workshop in Avonmouth, which is where our warehouses are based. We thought we'd bring you down here just a behind the scenes look to see what goes on to get your pinball machine up to standard. We go through a 26-point checklist, which is here, which our engineer will go through on every single pinball machine that we buy in, and generally I would say every machine that we buy has got a fault with it. Many of them have many faults with them. And our engineer will go through this meticulous checklist to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. So we'll go through all the test logs to make sure that every single game doesn't have any faults in it at all. We'll take everything off the play field. We'll clean the play field, wax the play field, put everything back. If anything's broken, we'll fix it. We'll replace all the rubbers on there, make sure all the bulbs are all replaced and all working perfectly. So it's a meticulous job that our engineer goes through, and it just gives you a bit of a flavour of what we've got in here at the moment. So there's a nice Adams family that's actually all done and ready to go. This Corvette's just going through his last test. There was a problem with one of the boards here where one of the caps had leaked. Was causing the 2 little cars that go down the side to not go up and down anymore. So that is fixed and ready to go out soon. You can sort of see all the polishes and waxes that we use here, all the bulbs, all the rubbers, all the various bits that you need to have. We've got it all down here in our workshop. Over here we've got a fishtails that's just come in. There's a Monster Bash that's ready to go out, which is absolutely the mintest Monster Bash I've ever seen. Sadly I didn't get to it before a customer did, but it's an absolute beauty. And then last of all we've got a Doctor Who again that's come in, and he's waiting for some parts to turn up for him. So that's the process that we go through. I think it's really good for you to see how detailed we are in our approach to making sure that all these reconditioned second-hand pinballs are brought up to the best condition they can. Okay, let's touch quickly on the third option, which is a virtual pinball machine. And that's more like an arcade game really, because it's a pinball cabinet like you see here, but instead of a play field, you've got a TV screen in there and you've got a PC in there which is running all of the games. So it means it can hold a whole load of different pinball machines. The benefit then being is if you haven't got a lot of space to have a whole load of pinballs, but you want to play a variety of machines, you've just got one slot getting used up in your game room to be able to fit this machine in and play a wide variety of games. The benefit of that also is that it's less likely to go wrong. Now, on a normal pinball machine, you're obviously flinging a very heavy ball bearing around the table and it hits things and could break things, and therefore they can go wrong. And that's not going to happen on a virtual pinball machine because it's just a TV screen and a PC. I guess they could go wrong, but much less likely. But that's also the downside. I think probably part of the fun of a pinball machine is the movement of the ball around. And whilst it's very realistic in a virtual pinball machine, it's probably nothing like actually playing a proper, genuine game. Okay, so we're giving you a lot of background. Let's talk about the most important bit now, which is choosing a machine for you to buy. Okay, so it's a big decision. It's a lot of money you're going to be spending. Let's first of all think about if you're going to buy a 90s machine. So this is a Bally Williams era. And they made during that period of time some absolutely brilliant machines, some of the best machines ever made, and they weren't licenses. So what do I mean by a license? So a license is when it's going to be either a film, it could be a TV series, so like Twilight Zone that's behind me here, or could be a band, you know, it's like a music title like we've had Foo Fighters we were chatting about earlier on. If it's not a license, it's basically where Bally Williams came up with an idea for a concept and turned it into a machine. So some examples to give you is Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars, Theatre of Magic, Circus Voltaire, some of the best machines that were made during that period of time that you might not recognise those names if you're new to pinball, but the actual gameplay and the design of those machines is absolutely brilliant. What I'd recommend is if you want to have a look at the overall market, you could go to Pinside, go to the top 100, and you'll find a massive list of all the machines. They're all rated by players, by owners, and gives you a bit of a feel for the different machines that are available. And it's good fun to just have a browse through, but look for some of those machines that I mentioned there, and you'll see that they've got great reviews, and certainly they should be in your list of consideration. The thing I would say though is that those titles I mentioned, stuff like Medieval Madness, Theatre of Magic, they very, very rarely come up. Attack from Mars, we might get 1 or 2 a year if we're lucky of those ones come up, and when they do, they are serious money. They are collector's pieces, and they've generally found their way into people's collections, and they don't often come up for sale again. Okay, so let's give you some examples about choosing a game based upon either a theme, the gameplay, or the license, for example. So let's talk Shadow. So the Shadow was designed by a guy called Brian Eddy. He did a couple of classic machines, we talked about them already, Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars. He did the Shadow. Now the Shadow is a license. It wasn't a massive movie, but the actual gameplay on this machine is really good. He's a great designer, did a brilliant job with it. So the thing to do is have a bit of a play, come to the showroom, have a game on it, play some shots, understand what the gameplay is, and I think you might find, actually, I really like that game. So despite it not being a license that you instantly attach yourself to, the actual gameplay wins through because it's a great fun game to play. Also Getaway. So for example, Getaway is not a license, it's a made-up game around cars. It's got a picture of probably a Lamborghini stroke Ferrari, probably more Lamborghini than Ferrari on there, but it's a really good game if you like cars, maybe if you're buying the machine as a present for somebody who likes cars. It's a really fun game to play. There's a load of great shots on there. The play field looks amazing. This is a particularly good example of that particular game, but that's where buying a theme could be a good idea in terms of choosing the right game for you. Continuing with our theme of trying to choose a game, into the more modern era, looking at Stern machines. Game of Thrones, for example, was a massive series. It was loved by many. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. So if you're massively into Game of Thrones, that could be the ideal machine for you. If you love the Foo Fighters, then obviously there's a brand new one that's available. So it's about doing your research and thinking about that. If you look on our website, you'll find that we've got it split up into new machines, reconditioned machines, and pinball machines that are in stock. So go through our website, have a bit of a look at what we've got there. On pretty much all the listings, we've got videos of there, so you can actually have a close-up look at it. You can look at what the gameplay is like. Jono, who does all of our videos, sort of talks you through the key features on there and gives you a really good flavour of what each of those different machines are like. I also mentioned before about going on the Pinside Top 100. That's another really easy way just to go through loads and loads of lists of different pinball machines, and you might spot a theme, a license that really does appeal to you. And you go, oh great, I didn't know you could get, you know, an Iron Maiden pinball. Yes, you can. And you know, even if it's not on our website, for example, it's maybe something that we can track down for you. So we've actually got a list of customers who have rung us up and said, right, really want to try and find this pinball, and we'll use all of our contacts in the industry to try and track one down for you. It might take us a bit of time, but we'll eventually give you a call and go, right, we've got you one. Do you want to come have a look at it? So it's a really good way of being able to find exactly the pinball machine that you're after. Great, so there we go. So quick rundown there on how to choose the right pinball for you. I guess the thing to remember is that these pinball machines do sell very quickly. So even if it's a brand new machine, there'll be limited allocation that'll be coming into the UK from Stern. The UK distributor will only have a finite amount of machines that they have to sell, and we'll only have a small amount that we have to sell. And so a machine can get released over a weekend and we'll have sold out within sort of 2-3 days, and then that's it. There's no more allocation to be had. The same is true of all the second-hand machines. So if you see a second-hand machine on our website, please do bear in mind that we may well have a customer who's already come down, who's having a look at it, he's making a decision, he's just going to phone up and go, right, I'm going to go for that. And so it is worth certainly phoning us before you go to the effort of driving down. If you see it on our website, before you make maybe a 2-hour journey to come and see us, have a chat to one of the guys, just make sure that it's still available, because we sell them very, very quickly. Some of the hard to find ones like Twilight Zone, this particular one's in amazing condition, and we've already had 2 customers down to see it. We've only had it in here for a day because those guys are waiting for Twilight Zone and it's in mint condition. So that will probably sell very quickly. So hopefully you kind of get what I'm saying. Don't take for granted a plentiful supply of pinball machines, whether they're reconditioned or new, because they do sell super quickly. And as I said, give the guys a call here, have a chat with them. They'll give you advice over which machines they like, which ones play well, which themes they like. They can give you all the help and advice that you need. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll catch you in our next video.